Good day, everybody. How's it going? Rob Tomlinson, DishNet34 here, welcoming you to today's broadcast of This Week in Perfect Team, episode number 217. How's it going, everybody? Oh, man. What a day, and already I'm getting freaking texts. That's right, I have a dentist appointment today. Fun. Well, guys, hopefully y'all have been having a great week so far. I know it's been one heck of a week, and I know it's been hot in a lot of places around the United States right now. Hopefully y'all are staying cool, staying hydrated, all that good stuff. Because, I mean, it's going to feel like, in my area, it's going to feel like 100 Fahrenheit out there today. It's just absolutely insane how hot it's going to be today. So I got like a fan going. I have like my office room door open and stuff in the background, which you can't see because, you know, green screen and all that. But you know what? We're gonna make the best of it today. All that good stuff. Oh yeah, IROC is actually gonna be 100. Oh yeah. Oh man, I feel for a lot of y'all in those hot areas right now. Whoo boy. I'm not looking forward to stepping outside today. I mean, it's like air you can wear out there. It's crazy. But you know what is crazy? A lot of names in baseball history. I mean, there have been some absolute banger names that have been throughout baseball history, and this content set is going to go over quite a few of them here today. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully y'all are too. I don't know why my Slack notifications kept going off, but here we are. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get started for today. So first things first, we have a little bit of news and notes to pass along to you today. And it regards my streaming schedule for the foreseeable future. So here's the thing. My profession is journalism, and I write for like a really small newspaper here, and I'm like the only writer on staff now. So sports season is coming up, and high school football season is coming up. So Friday nights are going to be fairly occupied for me for the next several weeks, which means that due to that, I personally will not be streaming the Friday Showdown for the next several weeks. So I know it's going to be a little bit disappointing, but, and I know some of you might be saying, well, you know, it's going out while he's on top. He made it to the 5th round on Friday. It's like, yeah, well, my hands are kind of tied here. Yeah, that darn day job. Yeah, I can't multitask from the stadium. I can't because, you know, rural areas don't exactly have the greatest internet service in the world. So starting this Friday, I am going to be occupied with work on Friday nights, which means that unfortunately I will not be streaming the Friday Showdown for the next several weeks, at least, gosh, until November at the earliest. See, I see high school football season lasts a little bit. We have some decent teams in our area, and like, it's gonna be weird how the schedule is gonna work out. I'm hoping that we can have a contingency plan on the channel for someone to do the showdown, but right now there's nothing set in stone at this time. But I already have talked to the folks that I work with over at Out of the Park. They are absolutely fine with this. They've told me since day one that my full-time newspaper job always takes priority over streaming over Out of the Park, so I really thank them for that as well. Hosting hiatus begins this Friday. Will it come back sometime? Yes. Do I know when? No. So stay tuned to the space for news on when the next Friday Showdown stream will occur. And actually, the first game for my hometown high school team is actually tonight, which is an away game, and my boss is saying, no, don't go to away games. Don't go to away games. So here I am stuck here for the day, and well, here we are. Anyway, so there's that. Oh man, if we could get Dr. Dynastic to host, that would be fun. We'd have to talk to him about that. But anyway, so just those schedule changes happening starting this Friday. Meanwhile, if we don't have anybody streaming on Friday night, be sure to tune in to our many wonderful affiliate streamers who stream on Friday nights around the Out of the Park affiliate network. Well, no away game should mean every other Friday is open. Well, we have like 8 teams in our county, and we, kind of do like a game of the week kind of thing where we, go to one game a week and cover that for a big story and then put the rest in a roundup. So there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We do have... So like any home games for any of the teams in our county, yeah, we're going to be there. So, and that's usually on Friday nights. So can't get away with that. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, because before we get into the actual content for the day, we actually have 4 new limited edition cards in packs right now. 4 100 copy limited edition cards of Tippy Martinez from the 1983 Orioles, Barry Bonnell from the Toronto Blue Jays, Dave Collins from the 83 Blue Jays, and Willie Upshaw from the 1983 Blue Jays. And this is in commemoration of something very interesting that happened on this day in 1983. That guy on the left-hand side, Tippy Martinez of the Baltimore Orioles, technically picked off 3 Toronto Blue Jays runners in the same inning. He picked off the side on this day in 1983. Barry Bonnell, Dave Collins, and Willie Upshaw in the 10th inning of an eventual 7-4 Orioles win at Memorial Stadium. Now, this was all because the Blue Jays thought they could run on the base paths because Len Sakata, normally an infielder, was playing catcher in that inning, his only appearance at catcher in his entire career, due to the Orioles having replaced their starting catcher and his backup in the bottom of the 9th to try to rally back from a deficit to tie the game. So here's Len Sakata behind the plate. Barry Bonnell first up. He gets on base, thinks he can run. Martinez throws over to first to pick him off while he's running. He's out at second. Dave Collins gets on base next, and then he's picked off the traditional way, just Tippy throwing over to first base, all that good stuff. And then Willie Upshaw, the next guy, gets on base, and guess what? He's picked up. He's picked off of first base. So some fun things going on with these new limited editions in packs right now. Oh man, and one guy in the chat saying Tippy has 119 hold runners. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So these 4 guys right here, 100 copy limited editions of all of them, are in packs now. And you know how we found out about this? Well, I found this out through an article, but also because of Stathead Baseball. Yeah, I found this all out because of an article plus Stathead Baseball, powered by Baseball Reference. And you can use code 23 OOTP 25 right now for $25 off an annual baseball or all sport subscription. And I mean, this is a fantastic service. And actually, I use this quite a bit for today's slides. You might see some cherry-picked stats somewhere. You might see some other things in the top right-hand corner of each of these slides today. And that's because of StatHead Baseball. And if you use code 23OTP25, you can save $25 off a subscription. That's a pretty darn good deal, folks. That's a pretty darn good deal. And like I always say, it's not just for baseball. If you're a football fan, if you're a basketball fan, if you're a hockey fan, this is also a fantastic deal for y'all as well. So, this offer expires December 31st, 2023. This offer cannot be combined with existing, accounts or offers. So, there you go. StatHead Baseball, powered by Baseball Reference. Save $25 today. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get to the meat of the content here today. 80 grade baseball names. We have new packable cards based on some of the best and most unique names in baseball history. And there are 25 packable cards in total today. We're not going to show off all of them on stream. Not going to show off all of them, but we're going to show off a little over half of them. So let's go ahead and get right to the content today. And we're going to start off in the iron ranks. And yes, we're going to show all of the names. We're going to start off with one of the 5 iron cards you are going to see in today's set. We're just going to show one iron card for you. And what better way to start off a content set about baseball names than letting our inner 12-year-olds have a little fun right off the bat. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 1984 Detroit Tigers, 44 overall, right fielder, Rusty Kuntz. Rusty Kuntz, 39 BABIP, 44 power, 31 avoid K, 37 contact, 60 gap power, and 71 I, but that does not tell the whole story right here. That does not tell the whole story. Look at these splits against lefties. Because, my goodness, this guy is a serious lefty killer against lefties. Holy cats. 92 BABIP, 56 power, 63 avoid K, 91 contact, 94 gap, and 89 on the eye. Whew! Talk about doing the splits with Rusty Kuntz here. Against righties, though? Against righties, it's not great. It's not great. 21 BABIP, 40 power, 21 avoid K, 25 contact, 48 gap, and 65 I. I guess he was very rusty against righties. Defensively, he's not terrible, but he's not great either. 55 range, 72 error, and 46 arm. He can play all 3 outfield positions, though. What would his normalized stats against Little League pitchers be from the right side? I don't know. In 1984, though, Rusty Kuntz hit 286, 393, 414, just a couple of homers, 22 RBI, 125 on the OPS plus, and he was a World Series champ with the Tigers in 1984. Played in a career-high 84 games that year as well. And he had the game-winning RBI in Game 5 of the 1984 World Series, which the Tigers won. Hell yeah. So here's how that happened. So Rusty Kuntz pinch hit for DH Johnny Grubb with the bases loaded and the score tied at 3 in that 5th game. Let's see. I want to see when that was. Game logs, postseason. Let's take a look. So, he got into Game 5. So let's see. When did he come in? He came in the bottom of the fifth inning. The bottom of the fifth inning, he pinch hit for Johnny Grubb with runners on, with the bases loaded and one out against Craig Lefferts, by the way, a lefty. And he had a pop fly to short right field that scored Kirk Gibson the eventual winning run of the game. So there you go. So, hey, you know what? Whatever works. Whatever works. So Rusty Kuntz, a bit of a folk hero in Detroit sports history. So there you go. Rusty Kuntz from the 1984 Detroit Tigers is in Perfect Team 24. Alrighty, let's go to the bronze ranks now. We have a few bronze cards here for you today. And we start off with a guy who, you know, in MLB Power Pros 2008 had to like have his own like special nameplate for the player because his name was very long and couldn't fit with like the standard amount of characters you could have in there. That's the only way I know this dude even existed at one point. And that, my friends, is from the 2009 Florida Marlins, and that is 60 overall right-handed starter Rick Vandenherk. Rick Vandenherk, 65 stuff, 45 movement, 37 home run rating, but 93 on the pitcher BABIP. 93 pitcher BABIP and 67 control. Some very decent splits here. It's a little bit better against righties, though. Against lefties, it's not bad, but against righties is a little bit better. 65 stuff, 46 movement, 39 homer, 94 pitcher BABIP, 68 control. 56 stamina, 63 on the hold runner. Has a fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup combo. Extreme fly ball guy, 92 to 94 mile an hour on the velocity. Right-handed guy here. Vandenherk didn't have that long of a career. He did pitch for a few years in the big leagues for the Marlins. I believe he was on the Pirates at one point, but he started off with Florida, went to Baltimore in 2010 and 2011, and then was in Pittsburgh for a few ill-fated games in 2012. I actually got scouted out of the Netherlands back when he was about 16 years old or so, which was pretty fascinating. But in 2009, he was called up in July and won his first game of the season versus San Diego in the 2009 season. Eventually went 3-2 with a 4.3 ERA, 7.5 strikeouts per nine, 3.2 walks per nine, and right around league average ERA right here. This was his only season in MLB with positive wins above replacement. And right now, actually, he is currently the technical director of the Netherlands' baseball and softball confederation. So pretty cool stuff there for Rick Vandenherk. Pitching BABIP is probably going to be his biggest strength here. But that homer rating plus extreme fly ball, that's gonna be something else. But maybe if you're in a park or maybe in a tournament where, you know, homers might be pretty suppressed, this might be a decent option in a maybe as like a low end starter in the bronze rotations, maybe potentially. We'll see. I know he did get into Korea and Japan later on in his career after he was released in 2012 from the Pirates. So there you go. Rick Vandenherk from the 2009 Florida Marlins is in Perfect Team 24. All right, next up, we stay kind of in this general era of, because I mean, there have been some modern names that are just like really darn cool. All right. This is another cool one from kind of around that same era, that 2007, 2008 era. And that, my friends, brings us to 64 overall, left fielder from the Washington Nationals, Lastings Millage. Lastings Millage, 79 BABIP, 53 power, 69 avoid K, 81 contact, 80 gap power, and 65 on the eye. This guy can really hit against left-handed pitching right here. 86 BABIP, 65 power, 74 avoid K, 93 contact, 79 gap, and 75 on the eye. Not that great against righties. Not that great against righties, but very good against lefties. Speed, stealing, and base running, not terrible. 65 speed, 80 stealing, 72 on the base running. Defensively, probably could work out more for you as maybe a corner outfielder. Can play left field, can play right field, can play a little bit of center field if you really want him to. If you really want him to. 78 rating in left field, 67 in right. I'd probably suggest putting him maybe in left field, but that's just me. 65 range, 68 error, and 61 on the outfield arm. Now, Lastings Millage, you know, his career was pretty short from 2006 to 2011 in MLB. Hit 269, 328, 395 in his career with 33 homers and 167 RBI. Played for the Mets for the first couple of years of his career in 06 and 07. That tenure was kind of defined by the know your place rook sign that allegedly it was Billy Wagner that placed it in his locker at one point because he did some interesting things on the baseball field and off of the baseball field. Well, maybe not 100% interesting in some cases, but when he hit his first Major League homer in 2006, when the Mets returned to the field the following inning, Millage actually high-fived the home fans in attendance at Shea as he returned to his position, which I don't see what the big deal about that is. Dude was excited. The dude was excited. And yet Willie Randolph and his teammates were pissed off at him. Jeez. Can't have fun. But yeah, you played for the Mets, for the Nationals. He was a center fielder when he was in Washington for those lowly Nationals teams. Was in Pittsburgh and a brief cup of coffee in Chicago. 2008 was probably his best season. Had 14 homers, 24 stolen bases in 2008 for the Nationals. And in that 2008 season, among all 23-year-old outfielders in 2008, he was second in home runs by any 23-year-old outfielder in MLB in 2008, second only to Matt Kemp. So that was a pretty darn good year for him. He had youth on his side. He had, quite a few dingers. He was pretty darn good. So there you go. Lastings Millage from the Washington Nationals is it. Perfect team 24. Second out of actually quite a few more than two. It was about maybe 8 or 9 of them actually. So pretty cool stuff. All right, next up, let's go back to the 1940s for our next name. And let me tell you, folks in those days definitely had some very interesting names. I mean, the majority of guys you're going to see here today are from like the 1940s and backwards. Most of them, I say. This next guy, we're going to go back to stimulating y'all's 12-year-old brains here because our next guy comes to us from the 1945 Chicago White Sox. It is 69 overall, pretty nice player, Johnny Dickshot. Johnny Dickshot from the 1945 Chicago White Sox. This is like the perfect marriage of name and overall that we have probably ever done. Shut it down now. That's it. We're done. Game over. See you next year. Adios. Oh, Johnny Dickshot, 84 BABIP, 48 power, 74 Void K, 85 contact, 89 gap power, and 66 on the eye. Against lefties, he's got 89 BABIP, 51 power, 69 Void K, 88 contact, 91 gap, and 64 on the eye. He's a kind of a spray hitter kind of type. Right-handed hitter as well, so you'd probably imagine he'd be better against lefties. Can play left field and right field. 60 range, 64 error, 83 on the outfield arm. Not quite fully trained in right field, but he's pretty decent out in right field as well. 76 speed, 93 stealing, 82 base running, so he had some speed on him as well. 1945 season for Johnny Dickshot was probably his best season. He was kind of one of those guys who stayed home during the wartime period and got quite a few more opportunities with MLB just because of the time period. He actually played from 1936 to 1939 for Pittsburgh and New York as kind of a reserve role. Was never really a big, role player. Never really a big player during those years, but went back to he took a few years. I'm not sure if he was in the minor leagues or whatnot. I'd have to look that up again. But 1944, returned with the Chicago White Sox at 34 years old. Had kind of a decent season. But 1945, his last season full-time in MLB. First year with over 130 games. First year with over 500 play appearances. And it was the best year of his career. Hit 302, 366, 407 on the slash line. Had 4 home runs, which was tied for the team lead for the White Sox that year. Had 58 RBI as well. Third best average in the American League that year with that 302 mark. Tied for the team lead in home runs with, if I recall correctly, it was tied for the team lead with Guy Curtright, who played in just 98 games for those White Sox, who finished 6th in the American League that year. Okay, so here's a little background thanks to our buddy EVC. He had an accident where kids threw bottles and was out for 5 days. They put a metal plate in his head, so he couldn't serve in World War II due to the metal plate, which gave him a chance to come back and play. Wow. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Holy cow. And this guy actually proclaimed himself as the ugliest man in baseball. I need to grab a picture of him real quick. Hang on. I need to get a picture of Johnny Dickshot here. Just to kind of show you what we're kind of talking about here. Cause I don't know. We're gonna let's see how ugly are we talking here? How ugly are we talking here? Let's get him right here. I mean, it's something. It's something. I'm not one to judge ugliness or beauty, but y'all make your own decisions on that. Hat's dumb, but he's fine. You know what? I'll go with that. I'll go with that. All right, so there you go. Johnny Dickshot from the 1945 Chicago White Sox is in Perfect Team 24. Smasher pass. All right, next up. Oh man, this next guy, I had fun researching this guy because this guy was a little bit of a son of a gun, to put it lightly, in his career. We're going back to the 1880s for this one. And there was a book that came out that had this next guy as like part of the cover of the title. But the book was about some of the best names in baseball history, and this was one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, from the 1881 Cleveland Blues, I believe it is 70 overall, right-handed starter, the only Nolan. 68 stuff, 91 movement, 89 homer rating, 69 pitcher BABIP, 56 control. A little bit better against righties than he is against lefties. 72 stuff, 95 movement, 93 homer rating, 73 pitcher BABIP, 58 on the control. 98 stamina, 62 hold runners, neutral ground ball to fly ball tendency, 90 to 92 miles per hour. Fastball, slider, changeup combo. Kind of a two-way guy here. Can play pitcher, can play some third base, can play a little bit of left field, and can play a little bit of center field as well. And he's got some decent batting ratings, 63 contact, 27 power, 47 eye, and 64 on the sac bunt. Now, this is based on his 1881 season for the Cleveland Blues. And this was a very interesting year for him because this was his first year back in the National League after being expelled from the league after the 1878 season. And that was, and we'll get to that story in a little bit. But his actual name is Edward Sylvester Nolan. And he got the nickname because in that era, the term "the only" was a term used to describe anyone who excelled at something. So, upon joining the National League, the Indianapolis Blues team publicized themselves, so because he played for the Indianapolis Blues before Cleveland Blues. They publicized themselves by referring to their main pitcher, Nolan, as the only Nolan. So there you go. There's kind of how you got that name right there. Now, here's where we get into son of a gun territory here, because in the 1878 season, he was expelled by the Indianapolis Blues on August 14th of that year when he told the team he was going to be at a funeral, but instead he went drinking. Boy, that's one hell of an excuse now, ain't it? And during the league meetings in December of that year, his appeal for reinstatement was denied. So he played for a couple of minor league teams next couple of years. And then in 1881, he was allowed to return to the National League, this time with the Cleveland Blues. And that's where we have our card here. Went 8-14 with a 3.05 ERA, about a 2.94 FIP, which is pretty darn good. 2.7 Ks per 9, 1.9 walks per 9. But in September of that season, he and his teammates John Clapp and Jim McCormick missed the team's September 20th game in Worcester, Mass, because their return from a side trip to New York City was delayed by a train wreck, and they were each fined $100. But at the end of the season, because of what was called confirmed dissipation and general insubordination, the only Nolan was one of 10 players that was blacklisted by the National League after the 1881 season from the league. So this guy got blacklisted from the NL twice in his career. And they were barred from playing for or against any NL teams. The other 9 were Lou Brown, Ed Kaskin, Bill Crowley, Buttercup Dickerson, Mike Dorgan, John Fox, Emil Gross, Sadie Houck, and Lip Pike. So, yeah, very, very interesting guy here. This guy got expelled from the National League twice. And actually, despite that, he came back and played in 1885 for the Philadelphia Quakers, and guess what? The National League. How? No clue. I guess he got reinstated again. Anyway, this guy, very, very interesting player. And he is now in Perfect Team 24. Oh boy. Renamed himself to another Nolan and they had no idea. I love that. I love that. All right, next up, let's go ahead and stay in the 1880s for this one. We go to the later part of the 1880s for our next player. And this comes to us from the Philadelphia Athletics. We have 72 overall left fielder Blondie Purcell. Blondie Purcell, 82 BABIP, 14 power, 74 void K, 77 contact, 67 gap, and 69 on the eye. A little bit better against lefties than he is against righties. However, he's more of a contact hitter kind of guy. 86 BABIP, 14 power, 80 avoid K, 83 contact, 69 gap, and 72 on the eye. Speed, stealing, and base running, not bad. 72 speed, 78 stealing, 83 on the base running. Mainly a left fielder. He can play third base as well and can be trained up in center field and right field. Defensively, he's got 56 range, 57 error, and 64 arm in the outfield. In the infield, he's got 51 range, 53 error, 57 arm, and 49 on the turn double play. So, not the greatest defender in the world, but he is a good contact hitter, decent speed as well. 1889 for Blondie Purcell. 1889 for Blondie Purcell was a very good year for him. Second to last year of his career, probably the best year he had. Hit 316, 383, 381 on the slash line, 85 RBI, had 22 stolen bases, a 120 OPS plus, which actually wasn't his best OPS plus season. That would have been in the 1880 season for Cincinnati. But for the Cincinnati Stars, I should say. But this was the highest WAR season of his career at 1.8, according to Baseball Reference. He finished 7th in the American Association in average, finished 13th in on-base percentage. And this is another one where I was cracking up reading his Wikipedia page because Blondie Purcell, after his playing career, he ran a bookmaking operation. So this guy was a bookmaker, which, betting, sports betting and stuff like that. But this line from Wikipedia absolutely got me. And that is, it is not known when, where, or if he died. Not known when, where, or if he died. That got me thinking, maybe there's some 140-year-old guy walking around the earth that we don't know about that might have played baseball in 1889 for the Philadelphia Athletics. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now there's a reason why they say the word if at this point. Purcell's death details. I'm going to read from his Saber Bio Project article here. So Purcell's death details are still unknown, and it's a mystery with its share of theories. And I know we're talking about this with a decent card as this, but this is fascinating stuff here. So there's a man named William Purcell that died on February 20th, 1912 in Trenton, New Jersey. Now, some websites list this as Blondie's date of death, but the man in that casket was born around 1839, so it makes it quite unlikely that was the ball player who was still playing in the major leagues in 1890. Because we don't know, well, it does say that his first name was William Aloysius Purcell, so we at least know his name, his full name. But this is not the same William Purcell as that one. So, another candidate with the correct name, middle initial, birth date, father's name, mother's name, and approximate age, died of heart trouble at the Gladstone Hotel in Los Angeles on July 25th, 1908, a few weeks after he moved from New York for health reasons. However, it's also unconfirmed that that was the ball player there. So, another candidate, a third one, comes from us from the Altoona Tribune, where there's an article from October 14th, 1908, that said old-time baseball players who were once popular favorites in this city, Philadelphia, says the Philadelphia Ledger, will play a game on Thursday this week for the benefit of Billy Purcell, once the hard-hitting left fielder of the Phillies, a team made up of Southern League players, to be opponents. Now, the newspaper, in what I would call journalistic malpractice, did not elaborate if Purcell was alive or dead at the time of the benefit game. At least freaking confirm it! I guess we just had to be there. So with his death still a mystery, we bring to you Blondie Purcell from the 1889 Philadelphia Athletics. He is in Perfect Team 24. Alrighty, let's go to our next player. Actually, you know what? Blondie Purcell could actually pitch a little bit too, by the way. 59 stuff, 106 movement, 112 homer rating, 34 pitcher BABIP, 64 control with 98 stamina, 61 on the hold runner, fastball, slider, curveball, changeup combo. Didn't pitch in 1889, but he pitched earlier in the year. Might allow a few hits for your team. Alrighty, next up, this guy, you know, I was reading the Twitch chat a little bit ago, and, you know, we talked about the Only Nolan, and somebody mentioned that Google says people also search for this next player, and that, my friends, is 78 overall, left-handed starting pitcher, Phenomenal Smith. Phenomenal Smith, 53 stuff, 118 movement, 113 homer rating, 80 pitcher BABIP, and 49 control. A little bit better against righties than he is against lefties as a left-handed starter, so you got a little bit of reverse splits here on this guy. Against righties, he's got 53 stuff, 120 movement, 115 homer rating, 81 pitcher BABIP, and 49 control. 108 stamina, 63 hold runners, fastball, screwball, changeup combo on this guy. So, Phenomenal Smith, he played from 1884 to 1891 in his career. Notched a 54 and 74 record, 3.89 ERA, 4 strikeouts per 9, 3.7 walks per 9. So, he almost walked as many as he struck out, which honestly is not that great. But his best years came from 1887 and 1888, for Baltimore and the Philadelphia Athletics, where he had a combined 41 wins in total for those two teams, which is pretty darn good. Went 41 and 50. So pretty good chunk of his career numbers coming from those two seasons alone. He earned the phenomenal nickname because he threw a no-hitter against the Baltimore Orioles in 1885. So that's pretty darn good. Or was it the Baltimore Orioles? Give me just a second. I think it was the Orioles. Yep, he reportedly received the nickname Phenomenal after pitching a no-hitter against Baltimore on October 3rd, 1885. Only two batters reached base during that game, one on an error and one on a base on balls, and Smith picked off both runners at first base. So we got some more pickoffs in this one. Now, Phenomenal Smith, after his playing career, he became a coach and manager in the minor leagues throughout the country, and he was credited with first discovering Christy Mathewson, legendary pitcher, Christy Mathewson. So he met and played against Mathewson in 1899 while Mathewson was still attending Bucknell and pitching for the Taunton Herrings, which I think was a minor league team or at least a semi-pro team. The 19-year-old Mathewson compiled a 2-13 record for Taunton in 1899, but Phenomenal Smith saw some phenomenal potential in him. So he signed Mathewson to play for his Norfolk squad in the minor leagues, $90 a month, and under his guidance, he compiled a 21-2 record and a .74 ERA in 1900, promoted to the major leagues before the end of the season. So this guy kind of made Christy Mathewson who he was. So there you go. Phenomenal Smith, peak card, 78 overall, is in Perfect Team 24. Alrighty, next up, you know what? There is one modern baseball name that, you know, we could not make a set without this guy right here. We cannot have a set of 80 grade baseball names without this guy. And this is one of the funniest names I think I ever heard in baseball when I was growing up. And I mean, my formative baseball years were 2006, 2007, 2008, around that point. So this was probably the funniest stuff in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, peak card, center fielder from the Oakland Athletics. It is 85 overall, Coco Crisp. Coco Crisp, 59 BABIP, 69 power, 94 void K, 79 contacts, 80 gap power, and 80 on the eye. Against righties, he's pretty much better against righties as a switch hitter. 61 BABIP, 76 power, 97 avoid K, 85 contacts, 82 gap, and 82 eye. Pretty good defender out in center field and in left field. 98 range, 94 error, 35 arm. This can definitely play. Now, he doesn't have much of an arm, so probably left field or center field might be better. Might maybe put him in left field because he has better rating out there, but, you know, he can probably play very well in center field as well. 97 speed, 103 stealing, and 95 base running because Coco Crisp, he was known for being a speedy guy. Coco Crisp, also 81 sack bunt, 78 on the bunt for hit for those that are into that sort of thing. But Coco Crisp, a very interesting player in his career. Played from 2002 to 2016. Honestly, that's pretty long time for Coco Crisp. Hit 265, 327, 402 in his career. 130 career home runs, 639 RBI, and 309 career stolen bases. Now, the story behind his nickname, because Coco is actually kind of a nickname, which he actually changed his legal name to Coco later on, but he was originally born as Cavelli Lois Crisp, and Coco was, the Coco nickname kind of came from his sister, who kind of teased him. They looked like one of the characters on the Cocoa Krispies cereal box at one point. But the nickname was actually a little bit short-lived when he was younger, until he started playing Double-A baseball, when the team, this is according to Wikipedia and an article from, I believe, Fox Sports, nickname was short-lived until he started playing Double-A baseball, when the team had all the players fill out a questionnaire to get to know one another. Cavelli listed Coco as his nickname on the form, and his teammates thought the name was funny, so they had it put on the scoreboard during one of their games. He was traded to another team after a week and a half, but the nickname stuck, and he has been Coco Crisp ever since. And he actually officially changed his name on March 5th, 2013. But was he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? That I do not know. Coco Crisp was a pretty good ball player, all things considered too. Actually led the American League in stolen bases in 2011 with 49 of them. He had a few big power seasons early on in his career and late in his career as well. Had a couple double-digit home run seasons for Cleveland in 04 and 05. Had 22 homers in 2013 for Oakland. 2016, he had 13 homers between the A's and Cleveland as well, but kind of a down year for him. But yeah, he was also a 2007 world champ with Boston, where he had 268, 320, 382 with 6 homers and 60 RBI in 145 games that year. So there you go. Coco Crisp, very speedy guy, very good defender, kind of a decent hitter against righties. Could be a fun option for y'all. He is in Perfect Team 24. Alrighty, one more gold card coming for you today. One more gold card coming for y'all today. And we go to the pitcher's mound for our next guy. And this comes to us from the St. Louis Browns. Peak card, right-handed starter, 87 overall, Urban Shocker. Urban Shocker, 91 stuff, 65 movement, 60 homer rating, 82 pitcher BABIP, 108 control. Now, he's a right-handed pitcher, but he's a little bit better against lefties here. 94 stuff, 80 movement, 79 homer rating, 84 pitcher BABIP, and 106 control. That's not terrible for a gold card right there. Don't have this guy pitch against righties, honestly. I mean, he's probably gonna give up quite a few bombs against righties. 88 stuff, 54 movement, 50 homer rating, 80 pitcher BABIP, and 109 control against righties. 104 stamina, 89 on the hold runners. He is a fly ball guy, so something to keep aware of. 92 to 94 on the velocity. He's got fastball, curveball, and a screwball on him as well. But Urban Shocker, actually named Urbane, so he kind of, simplified it a little bit to Urban. 1927 World Series champ with the New York Yankees, but the majority of his career came with the St. Louis Browns back in those days. Pitched from 1916 to 1928, had a 187 and 117 career record, which that's not bad at all. 3.17 ERA, 3.3 strikeouts per 9, 2.2 walks per 9 as well. Led MLB in wins in the 1921 season, had 27 of them for the Browns, en route to finishing third in the American League that year. And but the big bugaboo for Urban Shocker was that he gave up dingers. He gave up a lot of dingers in his career. And actually, you know, even though it was kind of, sort of, still-ish the dead ball era, he gave up quite a few dingers. In 1921 and 1922, he actually led the American League in home runs. Actually led MLB in home runs, giving up 21 of them in 21 and 22 of them in 1922. Kind of fitting given that, you know, it happened in 1921, 1922. Same year, number, blah. But he also led the American League one more time in 1926 in giving up the long bombs. He gave up 16 of them, which it's not great. It's not great at all. But also in 1922, he led Major League Baseball in strikeouts. He had 149 of them that year. So there's a little bit of good with the bad in that 1922 season as well for St. Louis. Had 4 straight 20-win seasons with the St. Louis Browns from 1920 all the way to 1923. Just missed out on the feat in 1926 when he went 19-11 for the 1926 New York Yankees. Had 126 wins in total with the St. Louis Browns in 7 years. So there you go. Urban Shocker actually has a pretty decent eye at the plate as well. 103 eyes, so got no DH tournament. Could probably draw a walk or two. So there you go. Urban Shocker from the St. Louis Browns. 87 overall is it. Perfect team 24. All right, let's get into some diamond cards. Let's get into some diamond cards here today. And we start by going to the 1910s, the late 1910s for our next card. And we go to those ill-fated Black Sox years. And we go to that White Sox team for their center fielder, 92 overall, Happy Felsch. Happy Felsch, 72 BABIP, 90 power, 84 avoid K, 95 contact, 84 gap, and 53 on the eye. Very interesting splits here. So against lefties, he's got 76 BABIP, 83 power, 98 avoid K, 101 contact, 87 gap, and 63 on the eye. Against righties, 70 BABIP, 92 power, 80 avoid K, 93 contact, 83 gap, and 50 on the eye. So you're getting a little more power against righties as a right-handed hitter, but you're getting a little bit more, maybe some more contact. Some more solid contact, maybe a little bit more eye against lefties as a righty. 64 speed, 58 stealing, and 75 base running, but he's a pretty solid defender in the outfield. He can play center field fully trained. He can be trained up a lot more in left field. And honestly, in tournaments, he could probably play a lot better in left field for you. 91 range, 89 error, and 91 arm. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Happy Felsch in his career was actually pretty solid. 293, 347, 427 with 38 homers and 443 RBI. He had 10 or more triples for 5 of the 6 seasons of his career and had 10 or more stolen bases 4 times in his career. In 1920, he hit 338 with 14 homers and 115 RBI during the 1920 season, his final year, because, well, as we all know by now, in 1920 it was revealed that the 1919 Chicago White Sox were paid to lose the World Series. And so they got blacklisted in the scandal in 1920. Happy Felsch did not play in MLB again. But this guy, if he had not participated in this, probably would have had a very solid career, to be quite honest with you. So there you go. Happy Felsch from the Chicago White Sox, portrayed by Charlie Sheen in 8 Men Out, is in Perfect Team 24. All right, next up, let's go to some of the non-American League, National League dichotomy for this next guy right here. And we go to a guy who was pretty much the star of the American Association. This guy, solid contact hitter, only player to appear in all 10 seasons. It is 94 overall right fielder Chicken Wolf. Chicken Wolf, 99 BABIP, 47 power, 92 avoid K, 105 contact, 101 gap power, and 57 on the eye. A little bit better against lefties than he is against righties, but it's not by much. 103 BABIP, 49 power, 95 avoid K, 110 contact, 104 gap, and 64 on the eye. Against righties, he can be very solid as well. 97 BABIP, 46 power, 92 avoid K, 103 contact, 100 gap power, and 54 on the eye. 86 speed, 89 stealing, 89 base running, 59 sack bunt, 52 on the bunt for hit. And he is a very, very solid defender in right field. 96 range, 92 error, 85 on the outfield arm. What was Mrs. Wolf thinking? I don't know. But his first name, his full name is spectacular. We don't know how he got the chicken nickname, but his full name, William Van Winkle Jimmy Wolf. How you get Jimmy out of William Van Winkle and how you get chicken out of all that, I don't know. I really don't know. I'd love to go back in time and just ask people how they got these nicknames. Oh, gracious. Chicken Wolf. 1890 season for, I believe, the Louisville Colonels. Let me just double check that. Yep, it was for the Louisville Colonels. Arguably his best season of his career. Led the league in hits with 197. Heck, led all Major League Baseball in hits with 197. Hit 363, 421, 479 with 4 homers. Career high, by the way. 98 RBI and 46 stolen bases with a 166 OPS plus. Led the American Association in total bases. Led in batting average. Just absolutely phenomenal for Chicken Wolf. And again, like I said, he's the only player to appear in all 10 years for the American Association. He actually went to the major leagues in the National League in 1892 at the age of 30, and he flamed out, pretty much. Had just 3 games in the big leagues in 1892 for St. Louis. And, yeah, not great. Not great. His 46 stolen bases in 1890 was also a career high as well. So Chicken Wolf, one little anecdote that I love about Chicken Wolf is that in 1886, I know it's not in 1890, we'll ignore that for now, but in 1886, he hit an inside the park walk-off homer against the Cincinnati Red Stockings, and that really much only occurred because Abner Powell was not really in a better place to prevent the run because he had been impeded by an angry dog that had been sleeping next to the fence. So the dog got pretty darn angry, and so wasn't in a good spot. Chicken Wolf hitting an inside the park homer. Womp, womp, womp. There you go. Chicken Wolf from the 1890 Louisville Colonels is it. Perfect team 24. All right. One more diamond for y'all today. One more diamond for y'all today. And let's go to the Chicago Cubs. Let's go to those Chicago Cubs. Those early 1900s Chicago Cubs who were pretty much, world beaters at this point. And this guy led their pitching staff with some fantastic performances. Ladies and gentlemen, peak card, 97 overall, right-handed starter from the Chicago Cubs. It is Orville Overall from the Chicago Cubs. 98 stuff, 103 movement, 97 homer rating, 88 pitcher BABIP, 77 control. A little bit better against righties than he is against lefties with 95 stuff, 104 movement, 98 homer rating, 86 pitcher BABIP, and 83 control. Now he actually has a little bit more stuff against lefties than he does against righties. And actually a little bit more pitcher BABIP against lefties than he does against righties. So this is a very, very interesting card overall. Fastball, curveball, screwball combo on this guy. So probably the screwball kind of making things the way they are split-wise. 99 stamina, 65 on the hold runner, neutral ground ball to fly ball tendency, 90 to 92 miles per hour. Kind of a decent hitter as well. 47 contact, 43 power, 54 eye with 79 on the sack bunt. So Orville overall in his career, very phenomenal. Very, very phenomenal. 108 and 71 career record, a 2.26 ERA, 5.5 strikeouts per 9, two-time World Series champion. Won it in 1908 with the Chicago Cubs. And, oh man, I don't know when the other one was. He might have won another one, maybe with Cincinnati. But probably with the Chicago Cubs as well, more than likely. And this guy won 20 or more games a couple of times. In 1907 and 1909. 1908 was actually kind of a down year for him, with 15 wins and 11 losses. One of only 3 seasons in which he had double-digit losses. Led MLB in shutouts twice in his career in 1907 and 1909. Had 8 of them in 07, 9 of them in 09. And also led the NL in strikeouts per 9 a couple of times as well. 1908 with 6.7 strikeouts per 9, and 1909 with 6.5, and led the MLB in number of strikeouts as well with 205. And in 1908, during the World Series that year, in one of those games, he set the Chicago Cubs record for most strikeouts in a World Series by a single pitcher, with 10 of them. With 10 of them. Which is a feat for the Cubs that has not been replicated to this day. So there you go. Orville overall from the Chicago Cubs is in Perfect Team 24. Very, very cool stuff. But yeah, and also another thing in the 1908 World Series, in the first inning of that game, Orville overall became the only pitcher to strike out 4 hitters in 1 inning in a World Series game, and the last to do it in a playoff game until 2013 in the ALCS. So there you go, pretty cool stuff. Alrighty, folks, let's get to some perfect cards. Let's get to some perfect cards. And we start off, oh man. You know, sometimes I get pretty hungry. And one of the few things that I think I can like cook on a stove, and like I'm trying to get better at cooking and all that, one of the few things that I can reasonably cook at a normal rate is noodles. All right? Like angel hair pasta, stuff like that. There's like some great pastaroni dishes I love to make. So I think it's fitting that our next card, our penultimate card of the day, is 100 overall peak card from the Cincinnati Reds. It is Noodles Hahn. 97 stuff, 107 movement, 99 homer rating, 94 pitcher BABIP, and 104 on the control. Look at these splits. Look at these splits right here, ye mighty and despair. 101 stuff, 110 movement, 102 homer rating, 98 pitcher BABIP, and 106 on the control. Whoo, buddy. Whoo, buddy, this is a fun one right here. This is a fun one right here. 113 stamina, 64 on the hold runners. Better against lefties than he is against righties. Fastball, slider, changeup combo on this guy right here. Noodles Hahn, in his career from 1899 to 1906, he went 130 and 94 with a 2.55 ERA and 4.1 strikeouts per nine. Oh man, this guy, you know, when I look up Noodles Hahn, one of the more fascinating Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, but one of the more fascinating baseball reference pages I like to see. Because this guy, you know, this was like late 1800s, early 1900s, barely gave up any home runs. Barely gave up any. So we're talking about a career homer rate of 0.1 per nine. Had only one season that was above 0.1, and that was a 0.3 homers per nine in 1901, where he uncharacteristically gave up 12 of them. Which, how did that happen? I don't know. But this guy, absolutely phenomenal. He was the last to throw a no-hitter in the 19th century and the first to throw a no-hitter in the 20th century. Which, that's a pretty cool accomplishment. He led MLB in strikeouts 3 times, and that was the first 3 years of his career. In 1899, had 145 of them. 1900, he had 132 of them. And in 1901, he had 239. So that's a pretty big jump from 132 all the way up to 239. That's darn good right there. Led MLB in strikeouts 3 times. He also led in shutouts in 1900 with 4 of them. And he led MLB in complete games in 1901 with 41 of them in 42 games started. That's pretty darn good. Now, his career didn't really last too long, unfortunately. He only played until he was 27. Kind of fell off after the 1904 season. Pitched for Cincinnati one more year, had just 13 games, and then pitched just 6 games for the 1906 New York Yankees, and then he was done. But let me tell you, Noodles Hahn, when he was on, he was on. So there you go. And Noodles Hahn, 3rd in career ERA in Reds history, with a minimum of 1,000 innings pitched, I do believe, with a 2.52. That's pretty darn cool. So there you go. Noodles Hahn from the Cincinnati Reds is in Perfect Team 24. Now, folks, with such an elite pitcher in this set, there needs to be an elite hitter that has one heck of a cool name and has, you know, pretty cool ratings as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our final card of the evening is 100 overall. Oh. No. No. Okay. Okay. I think we got. Okay. I think Paul's trolling me again. I think Paul's trolling me again with this one. Tony Suck. We had to bring up Tony Suck at some point. This is not an actual card. This is not an actual card. Good. That's a good joke, Paul. That's a good joke. This guy, actual ball player. And he sucks. Oh, gracious. Oh, gracious. So, Tony Suck, he sucks. That's all you need to know. He's not in the game because he sucks so bad. He's not in the game. He is not in 24. This guy is, though, and it is 100 overall. Orator Schaefer. Orator Schaefer, our final card of the day. 111 BABIP, 58 power, 90 avoid K, 118 contact, 116 gap power, 99 I. Oh man, against righties, he can absolutely slap the ball. 114 BABIP, 59 power, 92 avoid K, 122 contact, 118 gap power, and 100 on the eye. And look at that right field defense. Holy cow. 90 outfield range, 87 error, and 120. 120 on the outfield arm. Holy cats. 80 speed, 82 stealing, and 81 base running as well. This is one heck of a contact hitter right here. He can play great defense as well in right field. And this guy hit 282, 326, 367 in his career with 11 homers and 317 RBI. Now, he was nicknamed Orator Shape. He was nicknamed Orator only because, according to Alfred Henry Spink, founder of the Sporting News, he got the nickname because he was a great stickler for his rights and talked to himself when not talking to the umpire. So this guy was a bit of a chatterbox, all things considered. But he was very good on the baseball field. Led the National League in outfield assists 4 times, and in 1879 set a record with 50 outfield assists with 50 outfield assists in 1879. Absolutely crazy. And Bill James in 2001, in a list of greatest right fielders of all time, put this guy 99th. That's pretty darn good praise right there. I mean, this guy, really good contact, really good BABIP, so probably gonna be like a dead ball god right here. Maybe like a dead ball tournament god here or something. Really good avoiding Ks. Really good gap power, so this guy can hit doubles and triples with reckless abandon. And this guy can walk too. So this guy, gonna be a fun guy for y'all on your rosters. Orator Schaefer, peak card, is in Perfect Team 24. Alrighty. What team will he be on the card? Good question. Good question. Let's see. Orator Schaefer. It's going to be the Indianapolis Blues on his card. Alrighty, so there you go, Orator Schaefer. Let's go ahead and show you the other cards that are in today's set. The rest of the cards that are in today's set. This is the complete list. We have Tricky Nichols, Tim Spooneybarger, Stubby Overmeyer. We got first baseman Chicken Hawks. We got Ed Head, Mark Lemon Jello. We got Boof Bonzer. We got Pete Lecoq. We got Lil Stoner. Last one on the cutting room floor, by the way. Dick Pole and Stubby Clap. Hell yeah. Oh man, Lil Stoner was my college roommate. Yeah, I had a couple of Lil Stoners as roommates in college as well. Not fun. But there you go. 25 packable cards in total for today's set. There you go. There you go. So there you go. 80 grade baseball names set. Rusty Kuntz, Rick Vandenherk, Lastings Millage, Johnny Dickshot, The Only Nolan, Blondie Purcell, Phenomenal Smith, Coco Crisp, Urban Shocker, Happy Fels, Chicken Wolf, Orville Overall, Orator Schaefer, and Noodles Hahn. All right, folks, before we sign off for the day and before I get to my dentist appointment at the top of the hour, here is a look at our weekly leaderboard champs for week 20, PTCS 5, period, week number 2 from August 14th to August 20th. Daily Iron won once again for the third week in a row by M. The Bow and the Madison Mashers, 174 points last week. Daily Bronze last week was won by Zargian 2 and the Debrecen Giants with 105 points. Daily Silver won by A. Progler and the Ninja Black Sox with 129 points. Daily Gold won by Mr. Audit and the Mediocres last week with 123 points. Daily Diamond last week was won by Admiral Relativity and the Lamarinda Star Crushers with 154 points. It's not Jeff LTN this week. Very interesting. Daily Open won last week by Hawkmoon and the Steel Creek Zombies with 114 points. Daily Wildcard won by KC86 and the Mississauga Leaf Tours with 172 points. Weekly tournaments last week won by MacJacks and the San Angelo Warbirds with 163 points. Perfect Draft Daily tournaments were won by the North York No Logo and Wadi 3 with 138 points. And finally, with the Perfect Draft Weekly tournaments, Bredov, 00, and the Peninsula Whips, 64 points, rounding out the leaderboard champs this week. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Oh, man, what a day, what a day, what a day, what a day. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you back here on Sunday for the Perfect League World Series. Hopefully you can be there for Call Your Shot, for all your favorite Perfect League players, your Perfect League teams, all that good stuff. Take care, everybody. DishNet34, Rob Tomlinson, signing out. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.